Oh, how the tables have turned. Or at least for me. I'll be honest with you guys. I used to be a Donnie fangirl when I was but a young teen in 2012. In fact, before Rise came out, this was my favorite version of Donnie. I thought Donnie just had a kiki crush on April, the awkward guy that has no idea how to talk to girls, so he just constantly fails as he tries to win the girl over. The nice guy in the love triangle between the girl and the bad boy, where they play with the tragic nice guys finish last trope. I was furious when April was leading on Donnie, as I thought she was doing it all for attention. Oh, the poor baby. But after doing my April series, I realized that Donnie isn't really the adorkable nerd I remembered. In fact, he's sorta creepy. Yeah, once those nostalgia goggles came out, and I rewatched the show with a fresh mind, honestly can't believe I didn't see the red flags. Like, Jesus! I guess my hatred for April and my rose-tinted glasses for Donnie really made me blind to all of this. I can excuse stalking, but I draw the line at being a cock tease. You can excuse stalking? Donnie from Season 1 is the same Donnie up to the Season 4 finale, and to Season 5 if anyone is asking. Even though the love triangle dialed down as the show moved on, when they do bring it up again, Donnie regresses back to his creepy, simpish ways. He continues to be territorial and obsessive with her to the point where he will neglect his brothers if the chance presents himself. What a fucking douche. That being said, I know this was meant to be funny. I know this was meant to be a joke, and this isn't just me waving my fist around screaming cancel culture. This is me just trying to address Donnie's behavior because the fandom is actually more split up about this than I remembered. I made a few polls about Donnie to see how others feel about him, and to my surprise, I got a few mixed results. It seems the majority of fans sees Donnie more as a geek, but when it comes to who was more annoying in the April Tello ship, the majority actually voted for Donnie, which is very interesting to me. Donnie fangirls have fought tooth and nail to defend their socially awkward messiah as a mere victim to April's she-demon assaults ever since my A Foot Too Big review, while Donnie haters will say he's a creepy fucker who gets away with way too much. But where do I stand in the matter? Do I think Donnie is a geek or a creep? He's both. Look, although I'm no longer a Donnie fangirl, I still do enjoy this version of Donnie outside of him simping. He still has a geeky charm to him, but that does not excuse his creepy behavior, which I want to discuss. I've been putting this off for a while, but it's time I settle this debate of is Donnie a geek or a creep? Let's get started. Before TMNT 2012 came out, Donnie was just sort of the smart one of the group. He's the tech guy, the one who will invent impossible gizmos, there to solve any science conundrums or invent the toys kids are going to buy. Personality-wise, he was just a smart one. Sometimes he'll have some sass, but he was just more spouting intelligent mumbo-jumbo. Now, he shined the best when he's with Mikey, as the two were the comedic duo of the group, especially in the movies. But I'd say Donnie was Mikey's player too. By himself, he didn't really get much focus unless there was something sciencey involved. TMNT 2012 actually gave him more personality and quirks than the other iterations. They gave him a temper, an attribute that was usually only for Raphael. But where Raph will lash out with physical attacks, Donnie will lash out verbally, especially to Mikey who messes with his experiments. Donnie's sass was turned up too. If someone tries to make fun of him, Donnie will goddamn clap back. Yeah, usually the nerds will just say a lot of science babble until the group just tells them to stupefy it for them. Nerds are usually the quiet, soft-spoken ones of the group, who will usually learn to stand up for themselves, but Donnie doesn't take anyone's shit, even from Raph. Hell, in fact, the two do butt heads at times. Sometimes Raph will antagonize Donnie while Donnie will make fun of Raph's temper tantrums. Yeah, before it was usually Leo and Raph constantly butting heads, or Raph picking on Mikey. But now Donnie has a fight dynamic with Raph. Good work, TMNT 2012. Okay, so now that I've addressed half of Donnie's personality, let's talk about what we're all really here for. Let's address his simp half. Okay, so in episode 1, Donnie immediately falls in love with April after seeing her for the first time. Love at first sight, if you will. Now, when it comes to the love at first sight cliche, it's seen very negatively over the years. In fact, some have recalled it as very lazy writing. Unpopular opinion of mine? I don't mind this trope. I don't mind when two characters who meet each other form an immediate attraction to each other, because let's be honest with ourselves, this does happen. A lot of us form crushes based on looks. There's no shame in that. It's just natural. But that's what it is, a crush or an attraction. This shouldn't be seen as love at first sight. This is a crush in development. However, in Donnie's case, it's an obsession in development. Okay, I'm gonna be as fair as I can. Not because I fear Donnie fangirls. Oh no, I'm doing this to piss them off. Because just like April's feelings in the love triangle, Donnie's behavior isn't always consistent. Let me explain. In the first 2 episodes, Donnie is more socially awkward with April. He's just focused on saving her and hopes she'll like him back when he does rescue her. There's even moments when he's actually shy around her. A geek. Okay, Donnie just has a crush. I mean, it's not like he's doing anything that bad. Not even 4 episodes in and you already have your first red flag. Oh yeah, apparently Donnie took a picture of April, who clearly didn't know she was being photographed, and put it as his goddamn laptop screensaver. Aw, creep. Donnie seems to teeter a lot in certain episodes. One moment he's just trying to spend time with his crush, while in other episodes he's really overstepping the boundaries. Like in Crane Conspiracy, he's actually trying to help April out, protects her even when she's not grateful, and even wants her to join in more missions with the team. He's not doing anything extreme to get her to like him. But then we have episodes like Target April O'Neil. He's stalking her at night. Wait a minute! Donnie's only following April around to protect her! And besides, he only did that one time. He didn't do this one time. He mentions it to Raph, who rightfully calls him out how creepy that is. Following someone around, especially at night, is wrong, even if you have good intentions or not. In fact, according to Google, 3 out of 4 stalking victims were stalked by someone they know, which I guess makes this scene realistic. But that doesn't make it good. And even if Donnie did only follow April one time, that's one time too many. Wait a minute! Marionette also does all those things and no one bats an eye, so it's okay if girls do it but boys can't? Hypocrite much? You do know that Marionette has a good chunk of haters, right? Look, I admit I've never watched Miraculous Ladybug, but with what I heard, many people don't like her and want to fix her. I've even seen more people say how annoying she is rather than hearing any praise from her. Hell, even Sarcastic Summary, who claims she's a great character, admits he does not like what she does to Adrian and sees her as an obsessive stalker. So she's not getting away with it. And look, just because someone else in another show does something creepy, that doesn't mean it's automatically okay to do it too. Like, I'm sorry, did we devolve back to kindergarten?
Donatello, how many times do I have to tell you, you don't stalk April, take pictures of April without her consent, be huggy with April, and to stop being obsessive towards her? But teacher, Marionette does the same thing to Adrian. Oh, so if Marionette got away with robbing a bank or drowning a bag of puppies, you would do it too? No. Keep your hands to yourself. Both of you to the corner for timeout. Thanks a lot, simp. Shut up, bitch.
Getting back to focus, let's also address the other competitor in the room, Casey Jones. Now, Donnie acts like the stereotypical jealous love interest towards Jones. The two do what you expect them to do. They compete with each other, they try to one-up each other, but they still manage to keep a friendship with each other. Donnie is supposed to be the nice guy in the love triangle, competing with the bad boy. But looking back at it, Donnie isn't really as nice as he thinks he is. When Casey enters the story, Donnie becomes more territorial with April. He really does not like it when Casey is alone with April, or even when he tries to hug April. Yeah, Donnie has a tendency to rip the two apart, or he will drag April away from him, which shows that Donnie is actually the more aggressor in this love triangle. Casey does get upset when he sees April giving Donnie affection, but he doesn't try to force the two apart like how Donnie does. Casey mostly just flirts with April or teases her, but he's not creeping on her at night or as obsessed with her as Donnie is. Half of Donnie's personality is just simping for April, but Casey, on the other hand, treats this as a regular crush. For the bad boy in the love triangle, Casey is actually pretty mellow compared to the nice guy Donnie. But Casey also has faults too, because he's more huggy when it comes to April, or gets in April's space a bit too much, or even...
Stop pinching your own butt, Casey!
I didn't do anything.
It wasn't your fault, child. He was just sick in the head. That being said, Donnie also started picking up Casey's habit of being too huggy with April. I'd say in season 1 he wasn't as huggy with her, but the moment Casey entered the pic, he started to become the "where's my hug" guy, which April is shown to be uncomfortable with or is just a bit weirded out by, especially when there's a group hug. So both boys aren't really the best candidates for April, which makes me thankful that she stayed single by the end of the show. But the show seems to favor April Tello more as the series went on. In fact, by the time the series ended, Casey felt more like the third wheel. I'll go into more detail in a future shipping video, but basically Donnie and April were having more romantic moments together than Casey and April. In fact, April has never once gave Casey any kisses, whether on the cheeks or on the lips. So it seems like April Tello was supposed to be the main couple we were rooting for, which I guess was a bit obvious. Usually in cartoons, the guy friend from the beginning is bound to be the end goal, as the girl soon realizes that she didn't need to chase all those attractive athletes or the pretty boys around, because she should just settle for the nice, geeky friend who was there from the start. That's usually what happens even till this day in media, which I'll admit I have my own couples that I cheered for, but as I said before, Donnie isn't as nice as the show wants us to see him as. Donnie has stalked April at night a few times, taken a picture of April without consent, is territorial with April to the point where he will yank her away or tries to separate her from Casey. And he has done a few things that made her very uncomfortable. Oh God, don't remind me! Now, to be fair, he's not like this all the time. Donnie has also had sweet moments with her. Hell, he was the one who rescued her dad in season 1, and he was the one who was also determined to make a retro mutagen to cure April's dad, even when she didn't want anything to do with him. Speaking of which, when April was barking at him to leave her alone, Donnie still came to her rescue when she called for help. So this is the tricky part of calling Donnie a geek or a creep. Because on one hand, he has done a few things that will give him a red flag. But on the other hand, he has also done a few sweet things towards April. Yeah, even in his rivalry with Casey, Donnie will show concern or feels bad if something bad happens to Casey. They may be love rivals, but they're still friends at the end of the day. So I admit, it's a bit tricky for me to just label Donnie as either one of these categories. But if I had to choose, the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning towards creep.
let me explain why. With all the red flags that I mentioned before, there's also another element that I want to address. His brothers. Yeah, remember how Donnie did run after April when she called him for help? Well, Donnie had to leave his brothers behind to save her. Yeah, Donnie has a habit of putting April first over everything else, even when it comes to family. Again, for the sake of equality, Raph and Leo have done this too with their love interests, but Donnie does this the most. The perfect example can be seen when both April and Raph are captured by Krang, but once they're both safe, who does Donnie go to? Oh, you goddamn douche! He not only ignored his brother, he flat out pushed him out of the way to get to April. What an asshole! And this is not the first time he prioritized April over Raph. And within the woods, Raph goes missing and the gang has to split up with Casey and April teaming up. So with Raph possibly dead in the middle of nowhere, what does Donnie worry about?
I'm just freaking because Casey and April went off on their own. Alone. What happens when two teenagers who like each other go out into the woods alone?
You asshole! Raph could possibly be dead, or in this case, he got turned into a plant. And you're worried that April and Casey is going to do tier 15? Donnie, there's more important things to worry about. I know Donnie does love his brothers, but April seems to always come first to him. In fact, I'm surprised that no one really called him out on that, or there was an episode just addressing that. It's okay to have a crush on someone, but never to the point where you neglect your family. Leo actually learned something similar in his romance, so why not Donnie? But if neglecting a girl over your siblings isn't bad enough, Donnie doesn't want to listen to his brothers either. A few times his brothers will try to warn him what he's doing is either weird, cringy, or creepy, but Donnie will still go through with it. Look, I know teenagers aren't the best when it comes to listening to advice, but in Donnie's case, he really needed to listen. His brothers are telling him to either leave April alone or they are telling him not to do the cringy thing that will embarrass him in front of his crush. But Donnie gets defensive, goes through with it, and then gets surprised that his master plan didn't work. So this is the element that makes me ignore all the Donnie fangirls who cry that Donnie doesn't know what he's doing is wrong or bad. If the brothers were encouraging him to go through with all his ideas because they either think it would be funny to watch him fail or they legitimately thought it could work, I'd be more understanding to Donnie. But he doesn't just have one, but 3 brothers and a dad that are telling him, don't do it. Donnie just chooses to either ignore, get defensive, or just goes through with his plans. He knows. Everyone is letting him know not to do it. He just doesn't care enough to stop. So factoring all these elements from Donnie, I'm starting to see why a lot of people think he's a creep. Although I'm leaning more he creeps me out at times, I have to admit, it's not all Donnie's fault. Let me explain. Okay, I can already hear the comments down below freaking out after I said that. But it's not what you think. I'm here to be critical of everyone because there's other factors in play here. It would be a lot easier to paint Donnie as this evil stalker who doesn't listen to anyone's warnings or critiques. But I would be lying if that was actually the case. Because, my dear viewers, there's a lot of mixed messages that are happening. Not just from April, but by the brothers and even Splinter himself. Hell, there's even full episodes dedicated to trying to teach Donnie a lesson just to go nowhere. So let's address these mixed signals. Let's address the mixed messages the show is giving Donnie. Okay, so usually when there's an episode about Donnie learning to let go of April, or even someone telling Donnie what he's doing is creepy, it's always retconned at the end. The most infamous example is A Foot Too Big, where the whole episode is about Donnie getting a taste of his own medicine, and him saying he'll leave April alone. And what does April do?
You're not just a mutant, Donnie. You're my mutant. Mwah.
What the fuck? Okay, like I said before, it would be a lot easier to judge Donnie for being a creep who won't leave April alone if April wasn't so inconsistent in the love triangle. One moment she's telling Donnie to leave her alone, or it seems like this is a one-sided romance, but in the next moment, she could get jealous at the idea of Donnie thinking Karai is pretty, she gives him a peck on the cheek, or even kisses him. This is very mixed messages for Donnie. And look, I'm not victim blaming her. If you want a more in-depth review of April in the love triangle, just watch my April series, or wait for my future April Tello video, The Toxicity of April Tello. But getting back to focus, this is very confusing for anyone to go through. One moment, you're being told that you're making your crush uncomfortable and you need to stop, just for your crush to turn around and basically say, "It's okay, I'm fine with it." But it's not just April who does this. The others also backpedal on their messages to Donnie as well. In Mutagen Man Unleashed, Splinter tries teaching a lesson to Donnie that,
then perhaps one cannot make someone like something.
That's a very important lesson, especially since in the same episode, Donnie gets jealous that April is on a date with Casey. But what happens at the end of the episode?
Never lose hope, Donatello.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Didn't you just say earlier that Donnie shouldn't try to force April Tello to happen? Look, I get what Splinter was trying to say. You shouldn't force someone to like you, but don't feel bad. You may still have a chance. You know what I mean. But Splinter is still encouraging Donnie to keep pursuing April, even though he tried to say to give it a rest. Raph is the most vocal out of the brothers to tell Donnie to either give up on April or telling him that he's being creepy towards her. He was the one who was telling him in A Foot Too Big that April does not like how Donnie treats her, and pointed out now he knows how April feels when Bigfoot was following Donnie around. But again, in Operation Breakout, Raph embarrasses Donnie in front of April just for him to remind Donnie that it will never happen when Donnie tries to confront him. But by the end of the episode, he's trying to hype Donnie up in front of April, hoping to impress her. Hell, he even grabbed Donnie when he saw that April was getting jealous that Donnie thought Karai was pretty and saw Donnie fucking up. So, again, what is Donnie supposed to take out of this? Should he stop and move on from April, or should he keep going because he may have a chance with her? This is very mixed messages from everyone, which ultimately retcons the lesson they were trying to teach Donnie, which, depending on the situation, can be very concerning. Look, this would have been a bit more excusable if Donnie was more of that shy guy we saw in episode 1. But like I said before, Donnie does overstep the boundaries and has done creepy things like stalking April at night, to which April thanks Donnie for always being there even when she didn't want it. No. Do not reward him for that. Do not say that was okay to do. It's not. Donnie could have easily appeared in front of April to check in on her, but no, he chose the creepy route. If you have to hide what you're doing to the other person, then you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Honestly, it's a bit fucked up to try and justify that, especially when he admits he has done it other times. No. Bad. Don't do that again. Basically, there seems to be a cycle going on with Donnie. Donnie does something weird or creepy, he gets called out on it, but by the end, everyone goes back on their word and gives him false hope that he could still have a chance. Basically, It's Gen Z parenting. Donnie, no! You can't do that to April. Please stop. Oh, no, it's okay. It wasn't that bad. Here's for your troubles. Please don't cry, baby. You can have extra iPad time tonight. Who's my good little simp? You know, thinking about it, this kind of pisses me off. In other episodes, when Donnie has to learn a lesson, by the end, he does learn it and improves. But for some reason, when it comes to April, the show seems to be terrified to teach him to let her go, or at least teach him to stop being a simp.
Well, duh! Don't you know how hard it is to be rejected by your crush? What are you, heartless?
Okay, fair enough. Donnie is still just a teenager who's experiencing his first crush. We've all went through something like this, where we want to get our crush to go out with us, but we don't know how to really do that. And especially for teens, this is a very scary thing for them, especially if it's your first time. Rejection is terrifying, not gonna sugarcoat it. But here's one thing I think the writers forgot about. Hell, even Donnie fangirls seem to overlook as well. Donnie is a badass! This guy isn't your average teenager. He's a battling mutants, footbots, aliens, all while being a tech genius, and you're telling me he can't handle heartbreak? So let me get this straight, fan base. Donnie is strong and tough enough to keep fighting Slash after being beaten pretty badly, mind you, when he sees Raph is in danger, with a broken arm, mind you. But we gotta protect him from rejection? He can take on an army of footbots, all programmed to remember his attacks? But we don't want him to fall down crying if April tells him she doesn't like him back? This is the same guy who went on a solo mission to rescue April's dad in a Crane facility, but there's no way he's strong enough to move on from his first crush? Oh, that would break his heart. No, we would rather break his body first before we would even consider shattering the poor guy's heart. Are you starting to see how silly this all is? In seriousness, the show really needed to be consistent with Donnie. If they wanted Donnie to learn a lesson about either being a simp or being creepy, let him learn the lesson. Again, they had no issue with him learning other lessons outside of April. And again, this guy can take on mutants. He will survive a broken heart. But with what we got, it just seems like the show is trying to let Donnie get away with all of this. Yes, he does get called out on it, but it's basically a small slap on the wrist, and they retcon it by the end again. Anyway, so why even try to make a lesson out of it? The point of a lesson is that you learn something from it, or you learn not to do it again. Especially if some of these things are really big red flags.
Oh my god! Stop demonizing Donnie! Why is everyone constantly making April seem like the perfect saint who can't do anything wrong?
I see a Donnie stan has entered the room.
Damn right! You keep saying how terrible Donnie is, yet April has done terrible things too. Donnie is just a geeky teen who doesn't know how to talk to girls, but April is constantly S.A.ing Donnie.
Wait, what?
You heard me! Donnie is a victim of S.A. Why don't you talk about that?
Okay, I will, because what the hell? There seems to be another side of the fandom that I wasn't really aware of until recently. These fans seem to be hell-bent on proving that April isn't just some annoying teenager, but an assaulter. Okay, that's a very serious accusation, but I'll be fair as long as y'all be fair. Yeah, another thing I've noticed with this side of the fandom is that they are really pushing the idea April assaulted Donnie, but don't want to admit that Donnie has also done similar actions. In fact, there seems to be a double standard in this part of the fan base because they are really hard on April,
but are really downplaying Donnie, which I want to address. Look, I'm only bringing this up because y'all's side of the fan base keeps bringing it up in my comment sections. So without further ado, let's talk about the hypocrisy of Donnie fangirls.
Okay, so ever since I've released my A Foot Too Big review, I have had a new wave of Donnie fangirls enter my channel. Who would have known me reviewing A Foot Too Big would have summoned a wave of Donnie stans coming to fight for their socially awkward messiah? I've read a few debates between these fangirls coming in to defend my harsh critique of Donnie. Okay, fair, but what is the double standards these fans will go to? These fans will claim Bigfoot and April aren't perfect saints, going so far as to say April is constantly essaying Donnie. April is constantly essaying Donnie? April is constantly essaying Donnie? Okay. Real talk. This is a serious topic that should be treated with respect and care, and shouldn't be thrown around lightly. So for this section of the video, I'm going to be serious. No jokes till the end. I'm going to be fair with both sides, because both candidates are in the wrong here. Okay, so for those who aren't obsessed with my comment sections as I am, you may be wondering, what are these fans talking about? What do they mean when they claim that April is apparently essaying Donnie all the time? With what I've read, they're referring to the times when April hugs Donnie, gives him kisses on the cheeks, and when he gave him that one kiss in A Foot Too Big episode, or even in the Ice Cream Kitty music video. Yeah. Okay, let me pull up a definition of SA to the ones who may not completely understand what that is. SA refers to any form of SV or abuse. It involves physical contact between the perpetrator and the victim or survivor. The act can include non-consensual touchings or other unwanted contact with privates. The act of non-consensual touching. Non-consensual. Okay, I think you get the point. Let me start with Bigfoot since she's easier to talk about. I've gotten some Donnie stans claiming how they hate that Bigfoot was supposed to represent Donnie, but Donnie has never done anything like this to April, which, yes, he did. Bigfoot gives Donnie uncomfortable hugs, like Donnie and Casey do. Bigfoot follows Donnie around, like how Donnie did, but Donnie's actually stalked April, so he's worse. Bigfoot made Donnie uncomfortable, like how Donnie did a few times. Bigfoot also tried to hang out with Donnie in a weird way, like how Donnie did when he made the chart and went to hang out with April. Bigfoot even made Donnie a cringy-ass present that made Donnie run away in horror, which Donnie literally did in the beginning of the episode. Do you see the similarities now? They both had good intentions and didn't mean to make their crushes uncomfortable, but they still did, and we have to suffer and cringe when they do. But for whatever reason, Donnie stans will wave their fist in horror saying Bigfoot was assaulting Donnie the entire episode, but won't admit what Donnie did was assault either. So let me get this straight. Y'all feel bad when Donnie goes through one episode of this treatment, but y'all don't feel any sympathy for April, who went, at this point, 2 full seasons of this. Donnie threw in the towel after maybe a few days with Bigfoot, but April is supposed to put up with both boys for the rest of the show even after she's been saying no? What the fuck? Now, there is one thing that Bigfoot does to Donnie that Donnie has never done to April, and that's giving him a kiss on the cheek. Alright, what I can agree is Donnie never kissed April first. April is actually the one who gave him multiple cheek kisses first, and then gave him a kiss in this episode. Which, let's talk about April. So a few Donnie stans have been screaming that April is the only one who's been giving Donnie hugs, even going so far as to say Donnie has never in his life ever hugged April first.
Ooh, okay, what did I say about group hugs?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so April has given Donnie hugs and cheek kisses before, but in the times she has done it, Donnie is shown to hug her back or consents. Remember, SA is non-consensual. If Donnie didn't want to be hugged or even didn't like the hug, then there would be a case. Same goes with the kisses. But again, Donnie is comfortable with the hugs and especially the kisses to the point where he even gloats to Casey. Now, some have gone so far as to say, well, it doesn't matter because April should have asked him first, so it still counts. So I guess Karai assaulted Splinter in this scene. Mikey assaulted Raph in this scene. And Raph assaulted Mikey in this scene too. But the one scene all Donnie fangirls seem to agree on is that April assaulted Donnie in the end of A Foot Too Big when she gave him a kiss on the lips as this one quote.
She essayed Donnie on the Bigfoot episode because she just grabs him and kisses him and he doesn't even lean in.
Okay, now we may have a case. Like how this comment stated, Donnie didn't lean in for the kiss. In fact, he seemed extremely shocked after the kiss. Unlike the other times where he's happy after getting a pic from April, here he's more confused. So there is a case that it wasn't fully consensual, which means if Donnie wanted to, he could press charges towards April. Also bringing in Bigfoot, Donnie can definitely make a case for Bigfoot as he is definitely not consenting towards any of her kisses or hugs. So there you have it, folks. If Donnie wanted to, he can press charges towards these girls. But so can April. Not Bigfoot, no, fuck her. But April can also press charges towards Donnie. Yeah, remember how I said if Donnie didn't like April's hugs, that could be a considered SA? Well, my dear viewers, April has shown a few times that she doesn't like Donnie's hugs. Yeah, remember this scene?
Ooh, okay, what did I say about group hugs?
We have April being uncomfortable with the boys hugging her, even saying,
Ooh, okay, what did I say about group hugs?
so this has happened before. And before anyone says, hugging isn't SA, it is.
While hugging is generally seen as a friendly gesture, it is crucial to acknowledge that it can constitute SH if performed without clear consent or against someone's wishes. Unwanted or inappropriate hugging can make individuals feel uncomfortable, violated, or disrespected
Against their wishes. So just like how Donnie can charge April for the kiss, April can charge both Donnie and Casey for all the multiple times they hugged her if she wanted to as well. So just like how y'all keep saying, April isn't a perfect saint, Donnie isn't your perfect little angel who respects boundaries either. But I'm not finished with Donnie either, because just like how this comment points out,
If April is going to be charged for SA, then Donnie should be charged for a felony for stalking and a fine for having a picture of April without consent, for equality's sake.
which means Donnie will have more charges added to him. Yeah, those moments of Donnie stalking April around or him even taking that one picture of her without her consent can result in a felony. This isn't a, dude, you're weird moment. This is, dude, what the fuck? You're going to jail moment. Now, how do Donnie stans try to plead with these accusations? Or more accurately, what excuses do they try to make for Donnie?
Donnie is a socially awkward geek who doesn't know better, and this is his first crush.
Are you kidding me? This is the double standards that truly baffles me when it comes to Donnie fangirls, which I admit I used to be one of them. They will demonize the shit out of April, which, to be fair, she's also done shitty things in the romance, but will really downplay Donnie's actions because he's socially awkward or a geek. But again, what's really baffling is all the excuses they give to Donnie, you could also apply to April. Oh, Donnie doesn't know what he's doing is wrong. So does April. Donnie is a socially awkward teen who doesn't have many friends. So is April. With what we saw, she only really hanged out with Irma and Casey at her school. Donnie doesn't mean to make April uncomfortable. Neither did April. Donnie is just a teen, so is April. What is your point? Because with what I see, y'all are over-exaggerating the hell out of April, but babying the hell out of Donnie. April is constantly essaying Donnie. If you're going to say this is SA, then you also have to admit this is SA, and that these actions are felonies. Okay, now that we cleared that up, I want to at least be fair. So for the sake of equality, let's head back to the classroom one more time. April, you just saw me put Donnie and Marionette in the corner. Please explain to me why you would kiss Donnie without his permission. But teacher, everyone knows that Donnie likes me. That is no excuse, young lady. Class, repeat after me. Keep your hands to yourself. To the corner with you. Oh, what is wrong with kids these days? I don't get paid enough to deal with this.
Oh my god, are you people serious? This is just for shits and giggles. They're just teenagers. Get over it. Besides, it's not like Donnie wants to hurt April. He has good intentions.
Although I don't agree that we should just sweep this under the rug, especially of how serious this topic is, I at least see your point of view. Again, I know this was all meant to be funny. The writers were trying to make us laugh. These scenes were meant to be funny. Even April kissing Donnie on the lips was supposed to be funny. And again, both teens have good intentions. But there is one more factor I want to point out. One more point I want to make for the remaining people that aren't convinced. The ones who think, oh, this is just a simple crush. There's really no harm since April sort of likes him back. Because there's actually another character in this show that's also obsessed over a girl and ended up hurting her. A character who, just like Donnie, prioritized her over everything else, including family. Someone who was told by others to let her go because she was already in love with someone else. And although she still had feelings for him too, she still chose the other man, driving him into madness. However, for some reason, we're supposed to see this man as a delusional, crazed monster, but have sympathy for Donnie. We're supposed to see this villain as a creep, but Donnie a geek. Which is hypocritical, especially since they both have done the same crime. Did you guess the character? It's the goddamn Shredder!
In Season 1, we were told how Shredder and Splinter grew up as brothers, but their love for a woman, Tang Shin, separated them. Then in Season 3, we actually do see how the events played out, with Saki still trying to win Shen over even though she was married to Hamato Yoshi and had a daughter with them. So even though Shen was married, Saki still never stopped trying to pursue her, even swooping in when he senses there's a rift in their marriage. It's also noted that apparently Shen did date Oroku Saki before she ended up with Splinter, with this scene.
Shen, back. I will help you take care of Miwa. We will go to New York together. The three of us. I am a different man than the one you once knew.
So Shredder's anger towards Splinter makes more sense. His older brother married his ex, unlike Donnie, who just had a typical jealousy towards Casey. That being said, Shredder needs to let this go because even though Shen has already chosen Yoshi, loved Yoshi, and wanted a life with Yoshi, Oroku Saki is still obsessed with her. And that obsession ended up destroying his relationship with Hamato Yoshi. Really think about it. Shredder and Splinter grew up together as brothers ever since they were babies. They were family for years, but Shredder threw that all away because of his obsession over a woman that already chose his brother.
Wait a minute! Shredder went crazy because he found out he was adopted, not because of Shin.
So you're right that Shredder attacked Splinter because he found out about his past. But even before he knew the truth, he was still choosing a woman over his brother. Remember, this all happened before Saki found out he was originally from the Foot Clan. The seeds were still there. They just bloomed when he realized who he really was. And even when he was living in peace with his enemies, they treated him like he was actually family. But they still called him out on his anger. He just never listened. He still allowed all the hate, anger, and obsessive traits to control him, which ultimately led to him accidentally killing Tang Shin. Now let's look at Donnie. Although Donnie does love his brothers, he will still drop everything for April, like in Target April O'Neil. When he got that message from April, he immediately left his brothers to help her out, even though they were in trouble. He flat out abandoned them. Yeah, April needs to be saved, but what about his brothers? Couldn't they have come up with a plan first before Donnie just said, "See ya, suckers"? And it's not just in fights. In Within the Woods, when Raph goes missing and the group splits up, Donnie says,
I'm just freaking because Casey and April went off on their own. Alone. What happens when two teenagers who like each other go out into the woods alone?
his brother is missing, all alone in the woods, possibly dead, and all he's concerned about is Casey and April hooking up. Dude, there is much more important things to worry about! There's also another time when Mikey gets really hurt by snakeweed, and Donnie is much more focused on getting his first text from April than attending to his little brother. Donnie has a habit of prioritizing April over his brothers. He still loves them, but April will always be his main priority when the time comes. He's his mantle, similar to how Shredder saw Tang Shin. Now let's look at the love triangle between him and Casey Jones. So in Season 2, it seems April was much more flirtatious with Casey. She'll cuddle with him, tease him back, and even flirt with him, especially when they're alone together. So how does Donnie react to this? Not fucking well. Donnie is very territorial with April. He doesn't even like it when his own brothers hug April. His brothers, knowing full well they don't see her like that. So what does he do when another guy who does like April steps in? Oh, he gets in between them. He will push them apart, whine when they spend time together or split up together, or will brag to Casey when he gets wins from April. Donnie, this is not a competition. April is not a prize to goddamn win. She's a human being who has every right to choose who she wants to date or if she wants to stay single. Get off your high horse. Honestly, this aspect of Donnie is actually worse than the Shredder. Think about it. Saki doesn't get in Shen's space like how Donnie does. Even in this scene where he shares a moment with her, Shen isn't uncomfortable like how April is sometimes with Donnie. She feels comfortable around him. And even though Saki wants to win her, he doesn't force her away from Splinter like how Donnie is with Casey and April. Even before his fight with Splinter, he says,
Shen, I ask you one last time. Make the right choice.
I have already made it.
He gave her a choice. Even though he was a bitch about claiming he was the right choice, fucking get over yourself, he still gave her a choice. Shredder doesn't try grabbing her or forcibly separates her from Splinter. He just wants her to choose him and then gets furious when she doesn't. Both guys are clearly in the wrong, but Donnie is much more aggressive about it. He doesn't want there to be a choice. He wants her to choose him and tries to separate her from any competition. So both guys are very obsessed with the girls they love. Both of them are in a love triangle where they see the other as the inferior suitor, and both of them desperately wants the girl to choose them to the point where they are aggressive about it. The only difference? Shredder is villainized for his behavior, while Donnie gets many passes. Shredder is portrayed as an obsessive, delusional monster, while Donnie is portrayed as the nice, socially awkward, geeky guy with quirks. Although Donnie does get called out on his behavior, by the end of the episode, the lesson gets retconned. Stop stalking April, it's creepy.
Actually, thank you for always being there for me, even when I didn't want you to be.
I'll leave you alone because now I got a taste of my own medicine.
Well, actually, I sort of like you too.
You can't force someone to like you. You need to let her go. Actually, fuck that. Never give up hope and you'll get her eventually. What kind of mixed messages are you trying to teach here? Should Donnie stop or should he keep going? Is this creepy or geeky? Make up your mind. Stick to the lesson and make up your mind. Because you know what this really is? It is creepy. This is not okay behavior. This shouldn't be swept under the rug and this should stop. Donnie has more similarities to the Shredder than Raph does. He prioritizes April over family. He's obsessed with her to the point where it's half his personality. And he's territorial with her. What's worse is that the show never realized this. They never realized they subconsciously made a mini Oroku Saki 2.0 because they intended this to be funny. I have no doubts that the writers meant this to be a joke. I really doubt a bunch of Nickelodeon writers banded together and did this out of pure malicious intent. But it really didn't age well. And although they didn't mean to make a mini Oroku Saki 2.0, it's still weird how they wrote Shredder's obsession over Tang Shin as evil and creepy, while Donnie's obsession over April is supposed to be for comedy. But Donnie doesn't mean to hurt April. Well, neither did the Shredder, but look what happened. Look, if the villain is going to be called out for this, then so should the hero, especially if it's in the same show. There is a reason why people think Donnie is a creep, and why others are now waking up to realize this shouldn't be glossed over anymore. Although he does get called out, it's more of a small slap on the wrist to end up being retconned by the end. Every time Donnie seems to learn that what he's doing is wrong, either April or one of the gang will still reward him with false hope that he could still get the girl. Which never happens, mind you, because April is still single by the end of the series. What the hell? So what was the point of having all of this then? What was the point of constantly teasing Donnie with the idea April Tello could be canon if they never had an end goal? What was the point of all of this? A lot of people seem to agree that the episode of Foot Too Big could have been the perfect episode for Donnie to finally move on from April. Apparently that was the intent, according to this comment here, where the creator wanted to drop this subplot as he felt like it was going nowhere, but was confused that they kept it in. Yeah, I'm confused too. This would have not only given A Foot Too Big a purpose, but it would have also been important character development for Donnie. So what happened? Why did they decide to keep April Tello a thing for the rest of the show's running time, just for it to ultimately go nowhere?
Was there just some hardcore April Teller shipper in the writer's room that decided to keep his ship alive? I know Rob Paulsen, the voice actor for Donnie, was the captain of the April Teller ship in conventions, but I really doubt he had any power over the writing. Actually, this comment reminded me of this old YouTube clip where an executive producer was actually uncomfortable with the idea of April and Donnie getting together.
I just don't know, I'm not one to promote interspecies relationships, so we'll see what happens on that one.
What is going on? So just like in the show, it looked like even the writers didn't know if this should be geeky or creepy. It seems like they were also in disagreement if Donnie should even be in a relationship with April. But that begs the question, why set it up? So I know some people have theorized that the writers have made a self-insert of themselves into Donnie because a lot of the original 80 Turtles fans had a crush on April. So that could be a reason why they kept April Tello. But I have another theory. I actually came up with this theory while I was working on my A Foot Too Big video, where I realized a problem that would occur if they actually did commit to Donnie moving on. If Donnie moved on from April, then he would just be a smarter Raph. Think about it. You know how I kept saying over and over in this video that half of Donnie's personality is being a simp? Well, what happens if you take that element away from Donnie? You just have a smarter Raph. Donnie also has a temper, can be sassy, yells at his brothers when he is annoyed, and just like Raph, parallels the Shredder. The only difference is that Donnie is the tech guy of the group. Yeah, remember how I mentioned how previous iterations of Donnie didn't really give him characteristics outside of being smart? I think the writers also realized this. A lot of Donnie's humor comes from him pining after April, getting kissed from April, or getting rejected by April, or even being jealous of someone being around April. If you take that away, then you're either left with geeky rambling like the other iterations had, or you're left with Donnie screaming or getting annoyed, which is usually Raph's territory. My theory is that some writers were aware of this. Donnie simping after April was such a huge element to Donnie's character that getting rid of it would leave the character a bit empty. That being said, I still think they should have committed to Donnie moving on. You can always make up a new quirk for him, or maybe in this case, Donnie's new arc could have been him dealing with letting her go. Imagine if Donnie thought he was ready to let April go just to realize that he wasn't when he sees April and Casey getting together. Casey and April always do get together in the other iterations, so just commit to it. This could be an important arc for Donnie to go through. The hero didn't get the girl this time. Maybe he struggles dealing with it at first. Old habits die hard, but when we get to the Tale of a Yokai episode, Donnie realizes he made the right call. The rest of the series could just be him and April just being goofy buddies together. There could still be some hurt left, but now he knows the dangers of being too obsessed with someone. Both how he made April feel and how he could have ended up. With what the show gave us, really is creepy. Sorry, Donnie fangirls, I just can't gloss over this anymore. It may be intended to be funny, but it just didn't age well with really no payoff. Well, that's the end of this video, and look, if you still like Donnie, that's okay. Again, not here to tell you what you should like and what you should hate. I, for example, am famous for hating the shit out of GT Pan, but I know some people like her, and that's okay. I also like Goku, even though a lot of people claim he's a bad father or too stupid, and although I would disagree, I see where they're coming from. There's no law that says you can only like 100% perfect characters, so I won't force you to hate him. Just don't downplay his actions. There is a reason for Donnie haters, just like April haters. Honestly, watch Mutant Mayhem if you want to see an April Tello done right. Leo is also a socially awkward dork who develops a crush on April, very similar to Donnie, but he's not obsessed with her like how Donnie was. As someone who's sick to death of seeing April being one of the turtles' love interests, I have to admit I thought it was kind of cute how Leo liked her. Again, I'll go over it more in my future April televideo, but it's time to roll credits. Stay unhinged!
We managed to hit 5K subs last year! Incredible! I'd like to thank all my Patreon members and channel members for helping to fund the Goten Black project. Now let's see if we can get to at least 7.5K subs, or even better, 10K subs!
But Goten Black
is still going, but only if y'all behave. And support us! Right now, you can read 5 new pages of Goten Black every Thursday Eastern Standard Times. Or you can sign up for our $5 tier to get all the benefits from our $3 tiers and get 2 picks from me every month. And right now, you can read our Goten Black Remastered series every Friday. Or you can sign up for our channel memberships here on YouTube and read new Goten Black no audio updates every first Friday of the month. Thanks, guys, and stay unhinged. Or at least the good kind.